This is wild. Okay, picture this. You are a Cape Coral resident and you're not particularly liking what you're seeing happening in City Hall. So you create a Facebook group, you create a website, and you start posting articles that are calling the city out. Sounds pretty normal, right? And then you get a lovely email, a cease and desist letter from the city. They say you need to take the logo down or you're possibly going to jail. And then you tear up the letter in front of City Hall on camera. And once that happens, a national First Amendment organization gets involved and tells Cape Coral what they've done is unconstitutional. That sounds like a wild story, and yet it's not hypothetical because it happened right here in Cape Coral, and it is making national news. And as always, we have a few thoughts. All right, so first let's break down what is actually happening. There's a group. It is ran by a local here. It is called the Take Out the Trash Committee, and they've created a Facebook group which has garnered a lot of followers on it. They have a website, and they have been extremely vocal about their dislike for what's been happening in city council,
Yeah.
which I'm sure city council hasn't been exactly pleased with.
No, they came a knocking and they're not going away.
But then something that I think shocked all of us happened. The city of Cape Coral sent this group a cease and desist letter. They sent it to all the committee members, and they said, you cannot use our logo. Take it down, or we are going to fine you or potential jail time because you are violating an ordinance that we've put in. Now, this ordinance says that nobody can use the city seal or logo without prior written approval, and that was created back in August of 2025. This group has been in existence for quite a while. And so since this has been passed, I've actually seen this come up in a few other places, particularly on Facebook.
Yeah, like the Cape Coral Residents Group had to change their logo as well, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, to make sure that it wasn't, they were showing that it wasn't city run.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about how this has kind of escalated to where it is. So January 30th of 2026, the city sent a cease and desist letter to the committee members. And I actually read something really funny that the chairman was actually sitting in a city council meeting when he got the letter.
Oh my gosh.
And then they went ahead and a few days later sent out actual physical letters to the committee members. Nothing that they had to sign for or anything like that, just sent them to their doorstep. And they were saying most of them didn't even open them because they knew what it was.
Yeah.
And then February 24th, they were issued their third notice ordering removal within 24 hours. And again, we said that this happened with many other people. Like, we were seeing other people comply. But again, the Take Out the Trash Committee, they're heavily opposed to city council. And so
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that they're going against them.
They're heavily opposed and they're very vocal about it.
Yes.
I mean, they're showing up, they're bringing crowds, all that kind of stuff, and it's gaining steam pretty quickly.
Yes. So, and then the chairman, Kyle, I cannot pronounce his last name, he actually went to one of the city council meetings, publicly tore up the letter in front of city council on camera to show that they were not complying. Well, now FIRE, which is the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, has gotten involved and issued a formal letter to Cape Coral saying that their ordinance is unconstitutional. So not the cease and desist is unconstitutional, but the ordinance is unconstitutional. And so their argument is all based on Supreme Court rulings that's saying that we as Americans have the right to question or criticize our government. And so
First
it's
Amendment right.
Yeah, our First Amendment right. So what the city of Cape Coral is doing is unconstitutional. That is their argument. They're also pointing out that this logo and seal has been used many other places for a very long time with no issue, no enforcement of the rule, and yet the Take Out the Trash Committee, they are, potentially facing jail time for not complying. So even with them going back and forth, it kind of sounds like Cape Coral isn't going to pursue anything legal against them. But FIRE is wanting them to fully rewrite the ordinance because, again, they believe that it is unconstitutional. So we don't know how this is going to play out, and we're not necessarily going to take political sides on this podcast. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, boy. I don't know. I mean, the first thing I will say is that the committee should have probably chosen a slightly less aggressive name. State your message, but the name is pretty aggressive,
It is
right?
pretty aggressive. It was intended to be. They're very,
Yeah.
like you said, they're very vocal. They're
Mhm.
very unhappy.
But I also think that it's needed. I think a committee like that is needed to the whole checks and balances thing, right? It's for somebody to come out and represent, you know, people that feel like they don't have a voice. I think that they definitely have and should have a platform to be heard.
Yes, and I mean, I don't necessarily wanna get political, but there's a lot of things that we do need to talk about that have been the reason that this committee has even come into place. I don't know specifically the date that it was started, but, we've had the issues with city council awarding themselves stipends,
Yeah.
right? We've had the issue of all of these projects that are happening, things being just not as transparent as
Mhm.
people would like. Questions are asked,
Mhm.
and they're not receiving, the information that they're looking for. You've got the boathouse, and what happened was Zach Kearns through there. They like making him jump hoops. And I think all of this lends to it wasn't just that the committee sure was started, but now they're getting even more ammo and even more amped
Yeah,
up.
because a lot of people that live here might feel maybe not exactly the same way as they do, but at some percentage similar.
Mhm.
Right?
And they are, there's a valid reason, I think, for Cape Coralians?
Cape Coralites.
Cape Coralites, there we go,
That's what
Cape
I'm.
Coralites, um, to be in need of some sort of a committee to stand up for them because I know that things that I've read have said that they've actually moved the commentary from the residents from the beginning or middle of council meetings to the very end after the council votes, which seem wild to me because I'm like, why would you put if you need the input of the residents or the residents want to give their input, why would you do that prior to the votes? Again, that was from a news article that I read, so I haven't been to one, but it just does make you question.
If that's true, that makes me question it big time because the council members are there elected to represent the individual districts, right? To be our voice, in these kind of subject matters, right? So not hearing the opinion of the people that are willing to show up to these meetings until after a vote's taken, that seems pretty silly.
Yeah. And I know some of them, like, let's be perfectly honest, some of these people are using their anger about certain things, such as JC Park. I will
Mhm.
use that as an example. They were so mad about JC Park that I think that just, put a sour taste in their mouth about anything that city council does because they were so mad about that one project or that one thing. But as you were saying, they're elected officials.
Mhm.
Their name was on the ballot,
Mhm.
and they are there to represent us as a community.
Mhm.
And I don't know that the community is getting as much input in some of these things as they would like. Again, I think you take that with a grain of salt because it's just been such a battle lately.
I agree. And I mean, you have to be careful what you watch and what you listen to. I recently watched one of the council meetings, and one of the citizens was talking about how there was no vote for the flagpole and how it was illegal to put it up. And one of the council members replied with, well, clearly we did go to the citizens because people are privately funding it. Obviously, it was, announced. Obviously, people wanted it. Obviously, people are behind that project. So it's one of those things. You got to be careful what you listen to and.
But two, I will say in their defense, there isn't a lot of transparency in our city council. And
Oh, I
which
agree.
and again, if people want to kind of have it as perspective of where we're coming from, he was the delegate for our neighborhood or our area, our district. I don't know what it was called, back in Colorado. So he got to sit in on a similar type thing.
Yeah.
And again, elected position. I've had similar scenarios where I remember specifically around the boathouse. I had asked questions directly to one of our council members in the comments, and the response that I got was just a very generic, like, brush it under the rug type response. I had extremely specific questions, and those weren't addressed in a way like they weren't even addressed. They weren't, "Hey, I can't talk about that," or, "Hey, that's confidential information." It just simply wasn't even she was answering
Acknowledged.
different
Yeah.
questions than I had even asked.
Yeah.
And so I get the frustration of people when you're like, "Hey, what is going on with this, and this?" And nobody in the city seems to be able to tell us or give insight. It just seems all very, very hush hush.
Yeah.
So Okay, wait, let's push that aside because clearly we kind of maybe fall in the middle of the city council and take out the trash committee, like in between there. But specifically around the logo, do you think that they should be receiving cease and desist letters over the logo?
That's an interesting one because I'm trying to look at it, and from somebody that has zero knowledge of anything about legalities, or not an attorney, obviously, but I am a business owner, and I'm trying to think about it. And the logo in and of itself belongs to the city, right? Do I think that people should be able to use the logo for their own purposes? I don't know. Should the city be able to stop them because of that? I don't know either, to be honest with you.
Okay, so I'm going to say this because I agree in some capacity. If our logo, the
Mhm.
Kolev Group, um, if somebody was out there using it in ways that were contradictory to what we do as
Mhm.
business, what we believe in, our logo presents our company,
Correct.
right? I do understand that. So, should people not allowed to be doing anything with the American flag because that's also a symbol of the government?
I don't know how many more of these things I'm going to get on. I'm going to tell you guys this is why I don't argue with this. I mean, because it comes up with points like that.
Again, it's a government. The government is for the people by the people.
Yeah.
So who technically owns that logo, that
Should be the
seal?
taxpayers.
It is the taxpayers.
Yeah.
And so I think, again, we are allowed to criticize the government if, what they're doing you find unacceptable. It is freedom of speech. Now, if they were using that logo and positioning themselves
That's what I was just going to
as
say.
new as this is news coming from Cape Coral, or this is a ordinance coming from Cape Coral or something like that, then yes, absolutely, because they're pretending to be somebody that
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not. But in the other sense, I think we taxpayers own the city. City council members wouldn't have a job if it weren't for us.
Correct.
So why not?
I would imagine any of these private groups could easily probably sidestep all of this by putting a disclosure that says we are not a part of the city or something of that nature, right? We do not represent city council. We don't represent this and that and the other, and leave it at that,
Yeah,
right? Just something like,
and I'll be perfectly honest, I don't think there was any confusion about if this was actually
you
something
think
from
John Gunter's behind that committee just like typing stuff in the dark? No, I don't think so.
maybe, I don't know. But they're literally criticizing the entire city council and the entire city of Cape Coral and what they're doing. And they I don't know. I don't think there was any confusion. I don't think there was a need for it. Maybe a disclosure that could that solve things? Sure.
It solves a lot of things in real estate, I'll tell you that much.
And again, it was the same with the Cape Coral Residents Group. I remember the guy that runs that came on there and was like, "Hey guys, we have to change our cover photo
Yeah.
because we're not allowed to use it." And I was just like, "Why?
Yeah.
Why?" It never
If you
made
ever
any
on that
sense
page,
to
the
me.
majority of the stuff about Cape Coral on there's negative.
That's true. I don't
Just
know.
everybody who has a negative opinion goes on that page to post something. So.
I'm telling you
Yeah.
again, if you are thinking about moving to Cape Coral or honestly just want any information about what's going on in Cape Coral, please do not go to the Facebook groups because they are.
You definitely can't ask anything about helicopters flying overhead or low flying airplanes or wind chimes or
But if there is a hot air balloon, everybody's
going to be on
gonna
top of
post a
it.
picture. That's the
Yes.
only positive one,
Correct.
that we've seen recently.
Yep. And make sure that if there is a rocket launch, that you're recording the rocket, not an airplane flying over.
Yes.
That's another good one.
That was
That's
fun
a
in the
keyword.
Facebook
Anyway,
group.
we're sidestepping
We're
here.
sidetracking so much. So this one, I don't necessarily want to um, unpack ourselves, but I think it was an interesting question that was posed. And it's, if the city is willing to threaten residents over a logo, what else are they doing that isn't making the news?
Well, and that's the question, right? And that's why committees like this exist, is because a lot of us feel like there are things that are happening that we aren't being told about, right? Like, I mean, the biggest one, well, let's just go back to the yacht club and the all that stuff, the boathouse and all that. Like, why is it taking this long? Why? Like, give us the exact reasons. And it took years to find out what's actually happening.
Which I still don't even think that we know the extent
I
of
don't
it.
think so either.
We knew everything kind of pivoted in 2020 when Ian happened.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
But it's been almost 4 years,
years.
since then. And we
Yeah.
still, and again, that's the one that I asked the council member. And the answers were so vague that it gave me nothing outside of, well, There's processes. And I'm like, that's great. What processes? Why are we and luckily they are starting the seawall there. That's very exciting. It's
That's
like
huge.
it's huge.
Yes.
But then it wasn't just the timeline, it was the budget with that.
Yeah.
The city's provided the budget so many times, but they haven't elaborated on the budget and why it's so expensive now. I don't know that we'll ever see that. It's
And
just an
plus that
ongoing
number is
battle.
such a moving target still. Like we don't even.
It really is. I heard 225 million. I heard no, that's 198 million. No, it's actually 300 million. I have
Yeah.
no idea. I don't think we'll know
Nope.
until it's done. And let's be perfectly honest,
We still won't know.
it's gonna be like slip away. They're gonna go over cost. Like
Yeah.
I know it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, but it's not just that. I mean, from some of the other things like the Seven Islands project and all those, I remember we posted a video about it. Somebody mentioned why it wasn't going to happen, and it's because of all this like infrastructure stuff and water rights stuff and all this other stuff that we've never heard about before from anybody. And I'm like, where are you coming up with this information from, right? And he's got to be hearing it somewhere. So I think transparency is needed a little bit more from council on what's going on with all of these things that are being proposed.
Yeah. And I mean, I think ultimately that the logo issue is.
Oh, that's what we were talking about.
I think that ultimately the logo issue has been a fight that has just been it's just been something that's bubbling under the surface between the city council and this the trash committee, as well as all the Cape Coral residents that are kind of in that group and, chatting and everything like that. I think it's been bubbling under the surface for a while. I'm not surprised that it came out because we talked about it in another thing, JC Park. The freaking flagpole, everything is controversial. No, the city is, I feel like, split, and it just feels like the city residents battling city council all the time. And you got a couple people like us in the middle going like, excited about the growth, but I kind of get what they're saying.
Oh yeah,
too.
no, we're all for the growth. We're all for the new things. I mean, I'm very excited about JC Park. I think it's going to be awesome. When we're talking about the city logo though, I think the reason why it's hitting me a little weird is it just seems petty.
It does seem petty.
It seems petty from the city to first pass an ordinance and then go through and follow up on it with, hey, you can't do that, right?
Which I mean, I don't want to like dive into not conspiracy theories, but
it's what it seems. It's optics, right?
And why? Why is this ordinance even a thing? And why did it come about suddenly in August of 2025? Like if it was always protected, or like if they believed it was always protected, why was it suddenly a thing that you have to get it in writing or whatever? It just seems fishy timing to me.
It just seems petty.
If I'm being perfectly honest, maybe from city council can comment on this and let me know.
If you're a parent and you have a teenager who's never had a curfew and all of a sudden you and your wife talk about that they have a curfew at 11 that the kid doesn't know about and all of a sudden they show up after 11 and you take away their car, is that fair?
No.
It's a similar type of thing. I'm like,
I personally had no idea until I saw it on the Cape Coral resident group page that this even was a thing. Like I was like, oh, okay, that seems dumb, right? And now it's making national headlines over a different group, and it just
what the city needs.
I know we're the worst market in America.
I thought we were the best market in America.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're the worst market. We're the best market, and also we have issues with logos. So
that's right.
I just a lot that clearly
we're about to have the biggest flagpole in South Florida.
Exactly.
So,
but no, the timing of it does seem a little strange to me.
Yeah.
It's strange that it just came about, and again, I don't even think it was on the news. Why would it be? Like, why would anybody care until it's with something like this? And of course, it's a committee that is going against what city council wants to do, and giving them pushback. So why not just go ahead and slap them with a cease and desist?
Of course, they're gonna make.
You're right. Absolutely petty. Personally, I think it's kind of silly. I think that they should have the right to use that. We're the taxpayers. We own the city, technically. So, I mean, in a roundabout way, we should have a say in it.
We should have a say at least. And again, use it, maybe disclose that you're not part of the council, and then move on with your life. I don't think that it should be a threatening of a jail time type of a situation.
So, look, here's where we land on this. We are not politicians and we're not lawyers. We're just real estate agents who live and work in this city. And we genuinely love Cape Coral. And I think that's why this bothers us so much. Because when people are deciding to move to Cape Coral and they hop on Google and they're looking for some answers, the last thing that we want is them finding an article about how the city is suing residents for using their logo and potentially facing jail time. Who wants to move there? The good news is the community pushed back, an organization stepped in, and by all accounts, it doesn't even look like this policy is going to survive. But it probably shouldn't have even existed in the first place. So we want to hear from you guys. Did you know about this? Do you think the city overstepped? Do you think this is a First Amendment issue? And if you're thinking about moving here, drop your thoughts in the comment as well. Has it changed anything for you? Let us know. We can't wait to read and respond, and we'll see you in the next one.